Maria here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is the third episode of the fall recipe series, so I'm really excited to have you guys all back. We're going to be moving from pumpkin to apple recipes today. I love working with red apples because they are a little sweeter, so they tend to use a little, or I tend to use a little less sugar in the recipes. So today I'm going to be giving you two recipes. One is the apple pie cupcakes and the other is the apple empanadas. The good thing is that they both use the same apple pie filling. So these are very easy to do if you decide to do both, or just kind of save that recipe in the background for, you know, another day. Like I said, it is the third episode, so make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that when the next one comes out, you'll be notified. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so there are three parts to the cupcakes. One, let's start with making the cupcakes. It's 1 box of cake mix, 3 eggs, 1 cup of milk, and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, so in a large bowl, let's go ahead and add our cake mix. Now I'm going to change this up a little. Instead of water, I'm adding the 1 cup of milk. I'm using the 3 eggs, and then I'm adding 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, so let's go ahead and use our mixer and mix that very well until the batter is nice and fluffy. Okay, so now that our batter is ready, let's go ahead and bring in our cupcake tins. I got these cute little paper holders from Hobby Lobby, and let's just go ahead and fill these up about 3/4 of the way. Okay, so as you can see, I'm getting ready to fill another one, and because we're not using pre-measured flour, we're using a cake mix. I went ahead and baked them all, so we came out with 18 cupcakes. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop those in the oven. I set the temperature at 350 degrees until light and golden. Okay, so these are ready. Let's go ahead and pull them out and let them cool. Look how pretty they look. Okay, so while the cupcakes are cooling, let's go ahead and work on our apple pie filling. So we're going to need 4 apples, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and 1 tablespoon of water. If you plan on using green apples, you will want to increase your brown sugar by about 1/4 cup. Okay, so let's go ahead and peel our apples. Now, every time I peel an apple, it kind of reminds me of the movie Sleepless in Seattle. You know how she decides to go ahead and do it and it all comes off in one big slice? Yeah, I think if I was up for the movie, they would be like, don't call us, because quite honestly, I just can't do it. Okay, so I'm on to apple number 2, and quite honestly, I'm going to give it a shot one more time. I figured, why not? Maybe I can actually do this. And I can't. All right, moving on. Okay, so now that our apples are all peeled, we're going to go ahead and dice these up into small pieces. Okay, so now that we have the apples all diced up, we're going to go ahead and get these cooked. So let's go ahead and move over to the pan. Okay, so over medium heat, let's melt our butter, add in our apples. Let's go ahead and give that a little stir. And then let's add our cinnamon and our brown sugar. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and mix that around until our apples are well coated. And then we're gonna let that cook until we have like a syrup and then the apples are tender. Okay, so while the apples are cooking, let's go ahead and mix our water and our cornstarch. That is going to serve as a thickening agent for our syrup. Okay, so let's go ahead and pour that mixture right into our apples and just kind of mix that around and wait for the apples to be tender, and it'll be done. I love that steam. Anyway, so as you can see, the syrup is thickening, and then once the apples are tender, just go ahead and take that off the heat and let it cool. Okay, so let's get our frosting together. It's going to be 4 cups of powdered sugar, 1 cup of butter, 4 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream, 1 tablespoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Okay, so in a large bowl, let's go ahead and place our butter in it. And then just mix that up until it is nice and creamy. Make sure that your butter is at room temperature. It'll make it so much easier. Okay, and then in about a cup at a time, we're going to go ahead and add in our powdered sugar. And then in between, just use your mixer to mix that up really well. You'll be able to see that it starts to get a little clumpy and dry, but that's okay. That's when we'll start adding our wet ingredients. So let's go ahead and get that mixed up. Okay, so here you can't see it. I didn't realize the mixer was blocking the camera, but I added the salt, and there's the vanilla. And I did mix that a little, and about half of the whipping cream. Go ahead and pour that into the bowl, and then mix that well. Okay, so now add in the rest of your powdered sugar and cinnamon. And then again, just continue to mix it so that everything is well incorporated. And then finally, the last of the whipping cream. And then just continue to use your mixer until your frosting is completely done. Look how light and fluffy that is. It turned out so good. So now that the cupcakes have cooled, let's go ahead and bring those out. And also you're going to want a bowl, and I am using a teaspoon. And what we're going to do is just scoop out the center of the cupcake. You don't want it to go all the way to the bottom, but just enough so that we can go ahead and pour some of our apple pie filling in it. And then you're just going to go ahead and continue to do that to every cupcake. Now that you've scooped out the center of all of your cupcakes, all you're going to do is just go ahead and get one of them and fill it up with the apple pie filling. I'm just taking about a spoonful. You can tell that one's got a little more than the next one that I'm going to fill, but that's all in personal preference. Fill it as much as you want. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our cupcake and let's frost it. I went ahead and put the frosting inside of a piping bag and then just chose a little tip that looks like kind of a star. And now I'm just making these little swirly designs all over the top of them. And there you go. Look how pretty that looks. Oops, I missed a spot. Okay, so here are a couple of the cupcakes once they've been frosted. And then here is the one that it looks like once it's been cut open. Okay, so for the next recipe, we are going to be making empanadas. Now we are going to be using the exact same apple pie filling that we used for the cupcakes. So if you want to go back, you can go back to the 2-minute and 30-second marker, and that's where the recipe starts. So otherwise, this recipe cannot get any easier. And typically the shape of the empanadas is the one right in the middle. Looks like a little half moon. So I decided just to shake it up a little and make some different shaped ones. So that way you guys can do what you want. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this going. Okay, so for the empanadas, we're going to be using the Pillsbury pie crust. There are 2 pie crusts in each package. We're going to take each one out and we're going to roll it out a little thinner. Okay, and then all we're going to do is use our little pie crust cutter. You can use a glass jar, you can use a glass, whatever's easiest for you, just making circles. And there you go. And then what we're going to do is just fill them. That's what it looks like once one of them is filled. All I did was pinch the corners with a little fork. You can do it with your fingers, but I do see that using a fork is a little easier. And just pour that right into the middle. As you can tell, I put a little too much in there, so I'm going to take some of that out. Okay, and like I said, you can go ahead and pinch the edges with your fingers, or what I find a lot easier is just using a fork to kind of seal it into place. And then we're just going to go ahead and bake these in the oven at 350 degrees until they're like nice and golden. Just continue to repeat the process until you have all of the empanadas made. Now, as you can tell, I made some of the half moon shaped ones. I left some in a circular formation, and all I did was take a little knife and make those little slits in the middle. Here is another form where I just did a little hole in the middle, and then I did like the top of the crisscross pie. So again, it is completely up to you. They're just little handheld fruit pies. This is what they look like once they're done. Now, as you can see, I went ahead and did end up still filling them a little too much, so they opened up. They almost look like little mini tacos. But these are the empanadas. They are fruit filled. And like I said, if you want to go back to the actual apple pie filling recipe, it is at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And here are the rest of them, nice, toasty, golden little pies. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this video. Now remember, if you haven't seen the first two, that it'll be linked in the description below. And also make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way when that next episode comes out, you'll be notified. In the meantime, let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. And if you do happen to bake anything, make sure that you tag me on Instagram, because I'd really like to see what you guys are baking. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for watching, and as always, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Love you all. Until next time.